Hello and welcome to our rookie tape review for our third round pick, the wide receiver out of Arkansas, the hometown hero, Isaac Teslaa. This review will be made up of 3 games worth of film on him, the 3 that were on caddies, which were the games against LSU, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M this past season. It will be split into roughly 4 sections, the first of which is his hands, looking at the catches he made in those 3 games, his ability to catch the ball through contact, get open. After the catch, what does he do? Does he keep the ball secure, etc., etc.? The second is looking at the routes he ran in those games. If there's any particular ones that are of note, for example, there's going to be quite a lot of those intermediate digs I've been going on about for a while, that kind of stuff, or ways that Arkansas used his routes to get other people open. So getting those and having a look at those, see what role his route running can do in our offense. Though obviously we've had a few training camp practices now and a couple of preseason games to really see it out. So by the by. The third section will be his run blocking, looking his ability there, because we know with the Lions, if you don't block, you don't get the rock. So looking at the notable examples of run blocking he did in those 3 games. And then finally, I've also cut up some of the times that his QB scrambled, trying to see what Teslaa does in those situations, because sort of the scramble drill is one of the biggest things for a receiver for me. It's looking at their ability to then find open space, make themselves available for the catch for the QB, and considering that Teslaa is a former QB himself, you'd hope he does well in those situations. So let's take a look, shall we? So in this first clip, we can see Teslaa lined up in the slot against Texas A&M. He runs his route. The QB has to move, so he scrambles away, gets himself open, makes a nice over-the-shoulder catch, gets away from his defender, and scores a nice touchdown. Nice, lovely opening for our rookie wide receiver. Here we can see the all-22 angle. Missing, we won't see too much, but as you can see, pressure on the QB, steps up in the pocket. Teslaa has made himself open and available, tracks the ball in, catches the ball with his hands rather than with his body, and then just breaks away from the defender. Perfect. As we can see here, Teslaa uncovered basically. Nice, quick, simple hitch towards QB. Makes the catch nice and easy. To all 22 angle, you can see QB takes the ball, quick step drop back, uses his body to shield the ball from the defender, makes the catch. We are again in the Tamu game. Teslaa in the slot as his usual for Arkansas. On the snap, he runs a hitch in between the second and third levels of the defense, so there's linebackers and the safeties, and makes a nice easy catch. Here in the all-22 angle, you can see the QB takes a snap, quick drop back, sees Teslaa coming open, fires under pressure, and here's Teslaa fighting through arm tackles to get an extra couple of yards. Love it. Still in the Tamu game here, and on this play, Teslaa runs a kind of bubble screen for the QB, uses his receivers who are blocking for him really well, and then as you can see, just about fighting through some contact just to get an extra yard or two, which again is our grit mentality. Nice and open quickly, catches the ball and uses his block as well, and as you see, the fighting through the contact. We've now moved on to the LSU game. Teslaa in the slot, and with that hitch I mentioned a minute ago, just runs the exact same, finds the hole in the zone, turns towards the QB, makes himself available for the catch. Here with the all-22, you can see again, QB takes the ball, quick 3-step drop back, steps up, fires it into Teslaa, who uses his shoulder to shield from the incoming defender, makes the catch. Moved on to the Ole Miss game now. Teslaa still in the slot. Nice, simple, 5-yard out. Makes the catch in between 2 defenders. Fights through the contact really well. Gains a couple of extra yards. Love it. All 22 angle. See the running back in intense motion to go out wide. So it's an empty set. Scanning the field. Teslaa's there. Gets his hands up. Grabs the ball out of the air between the 2 defenders. And as you can see, even with 2 defenders wrapped around him, still makes the catch. Still in the Ole Miss game here, and Teslaa again in the slot. Simple intermediate out as well, but as you can see, it's QB drill. So just gets himself that little push off to get a little separation from his corner, make himself available for his quarterback. All 22 angle, so we can see the pressure coming on the QB. Double pumps, has to scramble, just lobs it up to Teslaa, who's got that little bit of separation and then gets out of bounds to stop the clock. Final one of Teslaa's catches from these games here. He runs a double move, faking the out before running a post, leaps up, gets the ball, but as you can see, just as he's about to score a nice touchdown, number 5 punches the ball out for a forced fumble. Clear denial of goal scoring opportunities, a red card in his parts usually, but hey ho. On the all-22, you can see it's a new QB. It's number 3, not number 10 here. Feathers the ball into him in space. Teslaa is running, and 5 just sees that the ball slightly loose and punches it free to stop the touchdown. Shame. And so there ends all the catches that Teslaa made in those 3 games. Conclusions I have drawn from those catches: very, very good catcher of the ball in the air. Saw a couple of times, particularly that last one, but also the catch he made between 2 defenders against Ole Miss. He's able to go and high point the ball and use his body to shield the ball from defenders, as was the case with the hitches we saw earlier. Slight issues with ball security maybe after the catch with that last one, but didn't exactly hold the ball high and tight. Was holding it a bit like a loaf of bread to Shady McCoy as he used to hold the ball. But all in all, very good catcher that was just underutilized by Arkansas, maybe. We saw with that last one, the backup QB trusted him, maybe because they've got a bit of chemistry from practice. But overall, Teslaa was mostly used as a decoy/blocking option rather than a catcher, as we'll now see in this next section, which is the route section. So looking at his route running when he doesn't get the ball, and maybe some of the ways that Arkansas used him when he wasn't getting the ball as a blocker or as a decoy. So first of the interesting routes here I chose because I wanted to see how he makes his break on this inbreaker. Uses a kind of step to get a bit of separation from his defender, but unfortunately the ball does not go his way. The second of these routes I selected for a similar reason, getting a better look at that kind of stutter step he uses on inbreakers to get some separation. It's a nice little move. This third clip shows how he also uses this stutter step for outbreakers, meaning it is not a tell for what route he's going to run. Again, gets him some nice separation, but the ball doesn't go his way. This next clip shows that because of his physicality, he's very useful on pick plays that force defenders to make a choice, which Arkansas uses to good effect here to get someone open. People who watched the Falcons preseason game will recognise this route from Teslaa because it's the route that he got hit for a touchdown from Kyle Allen from, showing that he does have some NFL route tree in him. Another one of these outbreaking routes here against Hammer for Teslaa, this time without the stutter step instead of just a simple overstep to make the route break. Very nice. Again, a crossing route over the middle, something that Teslaa will be running a lot from next for us. This time the route break is not as crisp as you'd want, kind of more angled, maybe by design. Interesting one here for Teslaa, as he seems to be running that hitch we saw earlier in the catches section, but this time it's to open up an underneath route. Fortunately, the defender does not stick with him, and the catch is contested. Bit of a longer clip here, so we've moved on to the LSU game, as Teslaa is running that intermediate dig I won't shut up about, but from the slot. The reason it's longer is because on the all-22, you can actually see from shorter routes. And as I mentioned a couple of clips ago with the in-breaking route he was running that was kind of slanted, as you can see, as Teslaa's coming to his finger wall, yes, he's got a defender in his way. The route break is very rounded. It's not as sharp as crisp as you'd want. Again, a longer clip here from the LSU game, and again, it's an intermediate dig. This time, Teslaa uses a kind of stutter step on his cornerback. The cornerback is facing zone. He reads that and he cuts inside for the dig. Fortunately, the QB has to scramble and the ball does not come his way. And again, on the all-22, you can see the angle. So he's faced up against 8, reads the zone, cuts inside, but unfortunately, the QB has scrambled. Teslaa, as you can see on the screen, is still making himself available, but the ball does not come his way. Still with the LSU game here, and I chose this clip in particular because it shows how Arkansas liked to use Teslaa's physicality to open things up for their receivers. So as you can see, Teslaa's in the slot, and he runs a clear out go, which puts the cornerback in a little tiny bit of hesitation, which opens up the drag for the underneath receiver. While yes, the linebacker does crash down on the route, on the all-22, you can perhaps see a tiny bit better that Teslaa's route makes number 2 hesitate, which opens up the extra little tiny bit of space for the drag for the outside receiver, gaining a couple of yards. Another intermediate dig here from Teslaa. Again, nice kind of cut, but again, slightly rounded, not as we'd like. Scramble drill tries to get open. Hopefully on the all-22 we can see it a tiny bit better, hence longer clip again. So you can see number 10's making check the line, gets the snap, Teslaa's there, rounds the cut again, and so the cornerback kind of leaves him to the zone and the QB has to scramble. This time it's a rare outside snap here for Teslaa, but unfortunately Arkansas doesn't use him correctly, just puts him on a nice quick hitch, supposedly to open up that track, but it just doesn't work at all. Same story here, another outside snap here for Teslaa, quick hitch again, but the ball isn't thrown in his direction. Bad play by Arkansas. Similar kind of play again here from Arkansas. Teslaa outside hitch, but this time it's to open up the slot fade, but the QB just overthrows the receiver. Back into the slot here for Teslaa against LSU, and what do you know? It's another intermediate dig. Rounded route cut, and onto the Ole Miss game again. And with this, again, the route might look familiar. Teslaa is on the Walmart logo, and it's that switches play that he got the touchdown from Kyle Allen on, but the QB unfortunately overthrows him. So let's watch it from the All 22 when it swings back round. You can see again, it is not their usual QB number 10, it is number 3 instead. So maybe he has a bit more trust in Teslaa as a backup. Scramble, 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 and just up platform throw just overthrows Teslaa. Final clip here for Teslaa in the slot again against Ole Miss, and it's that shimmy stutter step move again to try and get the rope break on an intermediate dig, not targeted. So there is all the sort of interesting routes that Teslaa ran during those 3 games. Goes pretty much all of them, to be honest. As I say, it's only 3 games worth, and with him being there, wide receiver 3, 4 in the depth chart, didn't really get too many snaps. And as you saw, most of them were as that sort of inline slot role, so not much outside usage apart from those couple of hitches that were used to open up other things in the games. Overall, decent route runner, though obviously with those intermediate digs and in breakers and route breakers, you saw that the cuts weren't as crisp as you'd like most of the time. They were quite rounded, which does make it easier for the defender to trail you and keep up with you on them. Does use to like the sort of stutter step move to see which way the cornerback feints and then cuts the other way if it's the right way that he wants to run the route. But for the most part, he's got good enough route running that there's that sort of foundation to build on. The main issue with him, as we all know, is that because he doesn't play outside for Arkansas, he does not have the full route tree there that we want from our X's. While there is stuff we saw on tape there, especially with him in the slot, the kind of routes he will run at the NFL level. So obviously, as I mentioned, there's a couple of times where there's a switches concept that uses sort of natural pick play to get him open. He obviously got the touchdown for that against the Atlanta Falcons. That kind of thing he does have in his locker, but unfortunately, for the most part, the route running is stuff that needs to be worked on. But as we've heard out of camp, this is something he's been excelling in, as well as his ability to catch and the run blocking, which is our next section to bury the lead. For the most part, prototypical X build just wasn't used that way Arkansas because that's not how they chose to use him, stupidly or not stupidly. He obviously agreed to play that role. Maybe shows his team first mentality, which is obviously a good thing in our case. But there's definitely what, as you can see on that tape, especially with the sort of the cuts on those sort of flatter routes, the digs, the ins, the outs. He needs a bit of work there because it is rounded a lot of the times, and that's not really what you want. As I just mentioned, this third part of the tape review will focus on Teslaa's run blocking. So the stuff that is the nitty-gritty stuff that is definitely getting him some praise from camp. Just look at Amon-Ra's comments when he was interviewed a couple of days ago. It's the kind of stuff that maybe will go unnoticed because we do want that big, flashy, big play receiver, don't we? Though we already have that in JMO, and seemingly, just ask Jack Jones, seems Amon-Ra's also that these days. But it is something that's very fundamental to our team. We do have the no block, no rock sort of mentality. That's JMO. So this is something that's very important to us, which is why, again, I've picked out the times that you can really see him run block. What does he do? What's his technique like? Effort, etc., etc. So let's take a look. And so we are back to the Tamu game. It's a nice, easy run blocking rep for Teslaa in the slot. Matches up against the nickel corner and just rules him off from the play. Here in the L22, we can see snaps taken by the QB, handed off to number 22. After a quick check, we wait. Teslaa, as you can see, guy, hands are latched on, walls him off from the run. Very nice. Still in the Tamu game for this clip here. Teslaa, again, in the sort of inline slot, lines up against a linebacker this time. And while, yes, there's a bit of an outmatch and the run is going away from Teslaa's leverage, still manages to keep up with his linebacker and slow his progress to the point where he's not able to make a play on the running back at all. Here from the L22, we can see number 20, the linebacker that Teslaa going up against, to get him, latches on, and does enough to sort of put him off that he doesn't make a play on the running back. Similar kind of process here for Teslaa, this time against LSU, lined up in the slot, matches up against his nickel corner, pushes him off just off balance, and then does enough to stay in front of him even with the forced fumble. That's not his fault. Once against the LSU Tigers yet again, this time Teslaa matches up against one of the linebackers and just absolutely walls him off from the play. Fortunately, other defenders do make a play on the ball, but here from the All-22, we can kind of see number 18, I believe it is, that Teslaa will be crashing into in a second. So number 10's making some changes at line, snaps the ball, hands it off to number 0, and there's Teslaa just absolutely walling off his guy, only letting go when the whistle is blown. These final couple of clips are all from the Ole Miss game. Again, Teslaa in the slot, absolutely obliterating a nickel corner in the run game. Beautiful. Once again, Teslaa in the slot against Ole Miss, this time with nobody covering him. So what does he go and do? He goes and finds some work. So the ball is snapped and he runs, finds that safety, walls him off, doesn't turn his head back and just maybe stays engaged. Maybe the QB gets an extra couple of yards. But Teslaa, for the most part, when he needs to find work in the run game, he goes and does it. So here it is from the All-22 view. The QB makes a motion to the running back. Either that is scratching an itch, and it's a nice simple read option. Teslaa's there, and yeah, if he just doesn't get his head up, maybe stays on his safety, maybe could have done a run block, but at the same time, needs the awareness for that fumble. Here, Teslaa's basically lined up blocking in line tight end and does a one block on the collapsing linebacker, completely walling him off from the run. A little bit of hand fighting, but we don't mind that. Neil 22, you can see it here. There's number 25. Teslaa climbs up, whams him, gets him out the way, and just holds him off. Even a little bit of after the play. Similar situation here for our final snap of run blocking for Teslaa. Another one block again on 25. This time the run goes a bit more outside and isn't able to ward him off just as much, but nice to see that Arkansas highlighted a mismatch and went for it in these situations. And therein ends our little section on his run blocking. As you can see, given the fact that Arkansas basically used him as a big slot slash like tight end substitute at some points in his role, very, very accomplished at his run blocking. No real major criticisms. The only one I mentioned in those clips, as I said, on the QB read option, he did sort of let up for a second to see where his QB was. Just focus on blocking your guy. If it's a flag, it's a flag. Keep your head on your guy. As soon as you get distracted, you lose the battle, as we saw there. And it did kind of result in the QB fumbling, though that's not on Teslaa at all, in my opinion, from what I could see. That is just poor ball security from the QB. But for the most part, as a run blocker, given his size and strength and speed and all that, and his experience of doing it, should translate very, very well to the pros. As we're hearing from the comments from Amon Ra a couple of days ago, saying that he's won the respect of the locker room already with his run blocking, and then with what happened in day one of joint practices against the Dolphins, where he literally had his helmet rocked off and he still was going after someone. That's the kind of grit we like in our players. Makes sense. Love to see it. Long may it continue. All those sort of adages. And that means we're down to our last section now, which is the QB scramble section, which I know is a bit hard to judge, but in these kind of situations, it's perhaps the easiest way to see how a receiver is, because you've got to find space, you've got to go open for your guys. That really shows your effort, because if you just see your QB scrambling and you just stand there, like I've seen with some players when they play flag, it doesn't make it easy for your offense, and it means you're going to lose those snaps because someone will do that and get those snaps. And while, yes, Goff isn't the most mobile guy, if he is going to try and get rid of the ball under pressure, it's more likely a throwaway than it is going to be a QB scramble. But it still is an option there that Goff might need to sort of get out the pocket. And in which case, it's nice to know how our ex-receiver is going to perform in those situations, especially since he's got the height, speed, weight profile to be that kind of 50-50 ball option on those plays where Goff can kind of see him get open and be like, right, I trust him to go get the ball. So let's see how Teslaa has performed on QB scrambles in the 3 games that we are looking at. And we're back to the Tamu game for our first instance of a scramble drill, where Teslaa can sense that his QB needs a better help. He moves towards the ball, but unfortunately the QB goes elsewhere and it ends in an interception. Bad, bad, bad. Our second instance also comes to the Tamu game. Teslaa runs a kind of hitch, sees that his QB needs a better help, starts moving towards the ball again, but unfortunately the QB just throws it away deep. Another scramble from the Tamu game here, where Tesla's running a simple flat from the slot, sees his QB's under a bit of pressure, starts to run as a blocker, but then kind of gets back, makes himself available for the ball. Unfortunately, it hits the turf before he can make the catch. From the All-22, since obviously you got targets on this, we can have a look. Number 10, the QB for the Arkansas Razorbacks, takes the snap, in pressure, under pressure, gets out, keeps his eyes downfield, throws the ball only where Teslaa can get it, or it's going to be an incompletion. But as I said, unfortunately, hits the floor. Still with the Tamu game here for a scramble drill. This time, Teslaa is running that kind of dig, sees that his QB needs help, so instantly backtracks on his own route, comes back towards the ball yet again, and the QB throws it away. We finally moved on from the Tamu game now to the LSU game. Teslaa runs one of those hitches again from the slot, sees his QB needs help, starts to move. Unfortunately, he's sacked. So, because it's the LSU game, we actually get some proper 22 here. So we can see it from the sort of QB's point of view. He's under pressure, tries to step up. Teslaa, you can see moving away, but the defender's right there. So it would have been a jump ball. Poor opportunity. And here's our final clip for today's tape review. Teslaa in the slot against Ole Miss, running a kind of corner route, sees the QB's under pressure, starts to move back towards the ball, but unfortunately the QB is sacked. So as you can see, Teslaa's experience as a QB does lend him well in scramble drill situations, as does his frame, because it makes him a nice sort of jump ball target for when the QB is under pressure. They can kind of throw it into his area, and because of his catch radius and height, he should be able to bring it in most of the time. If not, he uses his body to shield the ball from the defenders, making it hard for them to make a play on the ball. However, as you could see, most of the time the QB was getting sacked, which meant that a lot of the times these chances were not converted for Teslaa. But in the NFL, with a better QB like Goff, he should be able to get more opportunities if so needed. And with more accurate throws his way, should be able to bring him in for some nice conversions on key critical downs potentially. But that does conclude all the clips that you've got to see. So instead of seeing some lovely football plays from Teslaa, you are now about to see, unfortunately for you guys, my ugly mug. And there you have it, guys. Our rookie tape breakdown for our third round receiver, Isaac Teslaa out of Arkansas. I'm sorry that it's shorter than the others. You're probably used to a nice full hour, but unfortunately, with the amount of tape available for Teslaa, with only 3 games on caddies, and each one of them's only about 10-15 minutes, and me cutting out quite a lot of the plays that are just meh, like Uran routes, wasn't really targeted, nothing really special there. It does mean, unfortunately, this one is a bit shorter than I would have liked. Would love to have got you a couple of more games of tape just to really break down, maybe discuss some of the things that I wasn't able to just because it wasn't on tape. But there's definitely the signs there. You can see why the team liked Teslaa, the big frame, the speed, the willingness to run block, the ability to play in the slot and out wide, experience at QB, meaning he knows what to do on scramble drills, that kind of thing. It shows why the team really invested in him, traded up for him, especially with the dividends we're already getting out of that now. We've only a couple of weeks into the preseason through training camp, and to get about to become 3 games, obviously, with week 2 of the preseason, a couple of hours' time when you're watching this. But you can also see why there were question marks on the drafting of him. The route running isn't exactly perfect. Limited experience at outside receiver, which is where he projects best for us at the X role behind him, Patrick, maybe even overtaking him by the time of the bye for that, hopefully. Stuff like that. Also, yeah, just there's tiny little technique things that need to be worked on in terms of the route runners. I said the rounding of the cuts, the fact that he likes to just stutter step a lot of the time to try and duke out a zone defender, working on a release package because we didn't really see too much of that on tape, that kind of thing. But that's stuff that I trust Scotty Montgomery, Seth Ryan, who is our assistant wide receivers coach right now, I believe, son of former NFL head coach Rex Ryan, which is why Rex sometimes wears Ryan stuff on national punditry stuff. There's definitely stuff there, and I am excited to see Teslaa, especially if he does play against the Miami Dolphins in a couple of hours' time when you're watching this. But all in all, I am very excited to see what Teslaa can do for this team, because he might finally be that nice speedy X I've been calling out for years. So, all I've got to say now is thank you guys for watching. Hope you've enjoyed our 24-hour stream so far. And let's go on Pride Worldwide.